So in this video we're going to plant some seed potatoes. We're doing an autumn planting and our aim is to have some nice fresh potatoes on our table on Christmas Day. So to do that we're doing it in pots because the soil will warm up more quickly in a pot, and we're going to have them inside the greenhouse in a nice sunny location. So we're going to intensify that warmth of the autumn sun, warm that greenhouse up, and then the potatoes will grow. So we're doing it in a pretty small pot. This is a 5-litre pot. Normally you'd be doing potatoes in at least a 10-litre pot. So that gives us a bit more of a limitation, but it does make it easy to grow even in the smallest of locations. If you haven't got a vegetable patch and you've only got a patio with a little greenhouse on it, that's fine. But it does mean we've got to do things slightly differently. So I've got some seed potatoes, I've got some Maris Pipers, and I've got some Swift and some Pendle Javelin. I've just purchased these for autumn planting. Now, if I'd bought them a little bit earlier, I'd have been able to chit these potatoes, which is basically leave them out in the sun, or bright sunlight, so that they actually form the sprouts, and then that gets things going a little bit faster. But that's an optional step. You don't have to do that. It just means that things will go faster if you do. If you are going to chit them, then the advantage of chitting them is if you've got multiple eyes on the potato, you can then chop the potato up. So that some of the bigger ones here, if we'd got, say, a couple of eyes, one at each end, then we could cut that potato in half, and then we could have 2 potatoes out of it, or 2 potato plants out of it instead of the one. So it makes your potatoes go further. So what I'm probably going to do is go and chit some of these so we can do a later planting with those, but I'm going to plant some now just to get us going. And with everything, potatoes or all sorts of crops, it's a good idea to plant a few weeks apart to give us a longer cropping duration. Remember a gentleman saying when he first got into gardening, he planted all his lettuces and it was great, and then he had 120 lettuces one week and then no lettuces the week after. So by staggering our planting, we're also staggering our harvesting, and that's what we want when we're growing, especially when we're growing for food. So I've got a 5-litre pot. I've put some compost in here already, up to about half of the depth, and then I'm just going to put the 3 potatoes in there, so they're just sitting on the surface, and then I'm going to put some compost back on top. Now if you are growing in a bigger pot, maybe you're going to grow in a sack, you can put a sack into one of these greenhouses here. You can get a potato sack in the bottom, and that's got a lot more depth. So what you normally do then is you put your compost in the bottom, put your potatoes in, cover it over, and then you wait until the shoots of the potatoes have reached about 4 inches in depth, and then you cover them up again with the compost, and what that does is forces the plant to keep looking for the light. And by doing that, by layering the compost up as the plants grow, what you do is you get a 3-dimensional crop of potatoes, as it were. You get a much heavier crop because you forced the potato to go upwards, and all of the time then it's producing the potato tubers. So when we've covered this, we need to give it a good water, and then we can put it inside the greenhouse. What we want to do then is make sure we do water it regularly. Potatoes are thirsty, they're absorbing that moisture, so don't have it soggy, but give it a regular water as it sort of starts to dry. Don't let it get too dry, and you perhaps want to give a very dilute feed once or twice between now and Christmas, just to give things a boost. If you can have it on a south-facing area, if the greenhouse is facing south, then that's great. It's going to give you a bit more sun. And then when you get close to Christmas, obviously the growth rate's going to slow right down. So try and keep it frost-free in there, and then when you get closer to the day, you can then harvest your potatoes and see what you get. And of course, if you've got young children, the excitement of Christmas, what could cap having all the presents, but having some nice potatoes out of the greenhouse on the same day. So there we are, a potato growing. Last thing I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to pop it in a terracotta pot so it looks a little bit nicer in my greenhouse. So there we are, seed potatoes for Christmas.